Welcome back to another video, guys. It's Blaze2K, and today we're going to be replacing the battery inside an original Game Boy cartridge, and we're going to be replacing Wario Land, Super Mario Land. So the reason why you would want to replace the battery inside one of these is because many of these game carts are 15 to 20 years old, and once the battery dies inside them, your save function no longer works, and you also lose your many hours of gameplay and your save data. What we want to do is preserve the life of the game cart. We want to make sure our save files last for years to come, and the only way to do that is to replace it with a brand new battery. Now we're going to desolder the old one and we're going to solder on a new one, and that's pretty much the correct way to do it anyway. Now, bearing in mind, once you replace the battery inside one of these, you will lose any save data on it, so I highly recommend only doing this if the battery has already died and you can no longer save your games, or if you want to start afresh with a new save file and have that peace of mind knowing that your saves will last for years to come. Now what you're going to need is the game cart you're going to change the battery out of. You're going to need a soldering iron, you're going to need some solder, you're going to need a pair of electronic friendly tweezers, a small fan for sucking away fumes. You're also going to need a new battery. You can find these on eBay by searching CR1616 batteries or CR2025s. You're also going to need the Game Bit screwdrivers. You can find these on eBay as well for really cheap. These help you remove the screw holding the Game Boy cart together. Now, a little disclaimer, I'm not a professional at soldering or repair, so follow these steps with caution, and I can't be held responsible if you do any damage to your Game Boy cartridge. Now, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button, hit that bell icon for notifications. I do videos on gaming, tech unboxings, virtual reality, retro game stuff with the Game Boy, and lots more. So hit that red subscribe button. We're nearly at 1,000 subs, and without further ado, enjoy the video.
So when the battery dies inside one of these carts, your save function no longer works, and you also lose your game saves and all the progress that you've made. So when I received this game off of eBay, the battery does seem to still be working. I'm able to save the game and access old saves. But I'd rather be safe than sorry, because when the battery goes, all your progress goes with it. So I'm going to be starting afresh with this game cart by putting a new battery in, and hopefully the battery should last me for years and I won't have to worry about losing any saves. So first of all, you're going to need your Game Bit screwdrivers to open up the cart, or if you have an iFixit kit like me, you should have the pieces there that you need. Make sure you've got your ESD friendly tweezers on hand, that way you can pry up the battery when you're desoldering. And of course, make sure you have a soldering iron. Now, I picked this one up off Amazon for about £17. As for the battery, I'm going to be using a CR1616. So simply start unscrewing the little screw on the back of the Game Boy cart, and it should pop right out. Also, a quick note, make sure you've got your little fan on hand. It should suck away the soldering fumes and stop you from inhaling them. So once you remove the screw, just turn the game cart around and start sliding the top cover off of it. And inside you'll be greeted by the Game Boy cart's chipset. As you can see, the new battery looks very similar to the old one, and there's also some staining around the contact points, which suggests that someone else has already been in here to replace the battery at some point. But to be safe, we're going to replace the battery anyway, and we're going to want to pry our little tweezers underneath the contact point here. Now, once your soldering iron has heated up, get ready to desolder the joints by simply placing the soldering iron down on the little contact points to heat up the solder. In word of warning, do not do this whilst the game chip is still inside the game cart, because as you'll see, I actually melt the side of the game cart here by accident. So always make sure to take the chipset out. Now you're going to want to pry up the battery very carefully, and you should notice the little metal contact strip should lift away from the solder. Now we're going to do the same to the other side, and just hold the soldering iron on the solder. You should notice it should melt, turn into liquid, and you should be able to pry the battery up and remove it, as we have done here. Lovely. So now we're just going to clean up the solder on the contact points, just to make it that little bit easier when we place the new battery down. So just hold the soldering iron on the solder until they're nice little globs, and we should be ready for the next step. Now, with the new battery, you want to find the side with the plus symbol on it, and you're going to want to align it with the plus symbol on the chipset. Now, on this chipset, you can't see it because of the staining, but here's a picture just to show you what orientation it goes in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tin both connectors on the new battery, and what this should do is make it a lot easier to apply on top of the existing solder on the chipset. So you're going to want to tin both sides. Okay, so what we're going to do next is align the battery onto the chipset as we discussed before and begin heating up the solder on the contact points. As you heat it up, you should notice the battery goes down, slots onto the contact point, and you want to flip it around and do the same to the other side. Now what I did extra was I actually got some more solder wire and soldered on a bit of extra just to make sure there was a really good connection between the battery and the chipset. This is going to ensure that the battery is nice and connected and it shouldn't have any issues with saving or anything like that afterwards. Now as you can see, we did a pretty good job of soldering on the contact points, and what I think I'm going to do here is use some isopropyl alcohol 99.9% to wipe off some of that staining we have around the contact points, just to make things look a bit nicer. So here I have isopropyl alcohol 99.9%. I picked this up off of eBay for very cheap. Be very careful with this stuff. It's not the same kind of alcohol that you're used to drinking. It's very toxic. But what we're going to do is we're going to use some cotton buds and we're going to dip it in the isopropyl alcohol and wipe off some of that staining, and also wipe the contact points on the bottom of the Game Boy cart just for good measure, to make sure everything's nice and clean. As you can see, isopropyl alcohol worked wonders on it. We're just going to use the fan here just to dry it off a little bit. Isopropyl alcohol usually evaporates very quickly and it's usually pretty safe to use on electronics. Now we're going to want to slide the front cover of the game cart on and screw it back together again. And now we have nothing left to try but shove it in the Game Boy and see if game saves work again. So let's plug the game cart in, turn it on, and if we get to the start screen we should be able to see there are no game saves. So lovely. So we're going to play a bit of the game and see if it saves. So we've just cleared the first mission. Let's go ahead and finish up here, restart the Game Boy and see if the game save is still there. Okay, so we've restarted the Game Boy, and as you can see the game save is still there, so that means we've successfully replaced the battery. So hopefully the battery should last us for years to come. So guys, I'd say that went pretty well. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you hated the video, hit the thumbs down button, that's okay too. Also, let me know if you have any questions down below in the comments, and please hit that red subscribe button. We're almost at 1,000 subs, and I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and hit that bell icon for notifications. So without further ado, I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace out.